So Apple recently finished their keynote or unveiling thing, and one thing that's got everyone talking is their liquid glass design. Now let's admit it, whether you're a hardcore Apple fan or you don't like Apple like LP, one way or the other, you're going to have to agree with Apple. Because a thing about Apple is that they don't just influence phones, iPad, or laptops. They are going to influence a lot of industries, and that is going to include graphic design. So whether you do graphic design, UI, branding, packaging, you name it, this trend that has been set by Apple is going to affect your industry. So we need to talk about it. Hey everybody, my name is Innocent, and on this channel we make videos like this. If that is something that sounds like you're interested, kindly consider subscribing. So in this video, we're going to break down what the Apple's liquid glass design means for us designers and how you can adapt this into your workflow so that you don't get left behind. So first off, what is Apple calling the liquid glass? Well, it is essentially a design direction that blends ultra smooth transparency, fluid reflections, and a hyper 3D look. This is how it looks like. So you can think of it like a glass, but this time around, something that feels more alive, something that is reflective, and it almost looks like a melting form. One thing that you need to understand is this glassy effect or this glassy design trend isn't something that is really new. It has really been in existence. You can look at glass morphism and other stuff. It already exists, but Apple deciding to go all glass in is something that one way or the other you're going to call it new. We will talk more about this later in this video, but in this case Apple is not just looking at material things or the hardware per se. It's a visual language. For Apple, this is a way of communicating soft strength, premium clarity, and futuristic minimalism. So if you think about it carefully, it's Apple's way of moving from flat normal glass designs into something more immersive and emotional. And this is the bigger part and the reason why, if you're a designer or anyone, you should care. You know, for Apple, anytime that they will set a visual language, it just spills into many industries, including the graphic design world. If you've forgotten, let me remind you of skeuomorphism, flat design, neomorphism, and a whole lot of trends that Apple had to spill into the world of graphic design. And fortunately or unfortunately, this is a new trend that graphic designers would have to adjust to. So let's delve more into it. But the real question is, why should you, as a graphic designer, care about this? Well, the first thing that you need to know and understand is Apple don't just design products. They set visual expectations for the whole world, for even generations. When Apple makes something look a certain way, when Apple makes or decide to go with some colors, and in this case something liquid, something futuristic, something glassy, suddenly you'd realize that brands, clients, and users would want their things to look the same way, or they would want to incorporate it into their brands, their designs, or their works. So they would want their apps, their logos, their flyers, their adverts, everything to look the same. So as designers, we need to anticipate these shifts. And that means that you need to learn how to translate liquid glass aesthetics into digital design. So for designers generally, if you are, let's say, into UI or UX, you should expect buttons, toggles, and overlays to look more fluid. They have to be more fluid, reflective, and look a bit more 3D. If you're into branding and logo designs, clients may start asking you for logos that feel alive, that feel shiny, or translucent. If you're in the world of motion graphics, you should expect glassy animations, reflective ripples, and flowing transitions. If you're in the world of graphic design like myself, you design flyers and a lot, you should expect more of like glassy backgrounds, glassy call to actions, your shapes and everything. You should expect that it would be translating or it will be going into the direction of glassy or 3D looks. But this part, let's break it down even further for us, the graphic designers, the UI designers, you can or somewhere else. But if you're a graphic designer, this is what you should really expect. So for your layers and some of these things that I've mentioned already, you need to expect a lot more transparency. One thing about liquid glass is that it plays with a lot of light and depth. So as a designer, you should start experimenting with semi-transparent layers, reducing your opacity, reducing your flow, making use of gradients, making use of blurred backgrounds, utilizing your blending modes, the inner shadows, and all of those things. If you're going to focus on stroke, you make sure your stroke is not that really strong. You can reduce the opacities on those one as well. So generally, you think of the iOS control center, how it looks like, that design that you see over there. that is what you should be looking at. But this time around, make sure that it is more organic. But two, think of reflections and highlights. The world of liquid glass is not flat designs or flat colors anymore. You need to add subtle reflections, soft lightening, and highlight gradients to mimic the glassy effect that you are going for. So you see, at first you just put a rectangle over there, give it a color white, black, blue, and then you put your test on it. This time around, you need to play around with highlights just to mimic that glass-like realism. I hope this is making sense. Also, you need to think about soft 3D. Now, we are not talking about the 3Ds of the 2000s. Liquid glass means rounded edges, smooth depth, and tactile surfaces. So you should expect to see more fluid icons and be willing to incorporate them into your designs if you want to catch up with this trend. Also, when it comes to futuristic minimalism, this is what you should be doing. You see, with Apple, though they are playing with glassy and shiny stuff, it is not too loud.
Hallelujah!
That's loud.
Okay, sorry.
Do it nicely.
Oh,
okay?
yes. Hallelujah.
For Apple, they balance plus with restraint. So, as a designer, in as much as you're going to play with reflections, avoid overusing reflections. The goal is a clean, elegant futurism, not a messy glass of water spilled on Photoshop. So, the next question probably will be, how do you get started with this? If you are a Photoshop or Illustrator user, here are a few things that you can start experimenting with. You are going to need to play with layer styles a lot. Inner gloss, Gaussian blur, and opacity. One thing about glass effect is it relies a lot on blending. I haven't seen yet anyone that is doing glassy effect that will just do it in just one click. You have to blend a lot of things together. And that means you need to play with your blending options a lot. There are a lot of features in there you can play with a lot. There are times you're going to have to combine bevel and emboss, inner shadows, gradients, and all those fun stuff in blending options. Take your time to play with them a lot. You know glass morphism, right? Even that, you play a lot with blending options. So if you are going to want to achieve more glassy effects or glassy looks, you need to play with your blending options a lot. You can as well rely on AI, as platforms like Midjourney, Adobe Firefly are already picking up this trend. You can try prompts like liquid glass logo or similar prompts like that, and you can use that to experiment. That is if you want AI to assist you. Now, I know you might be like me who would say, oh, I don't really like jumping into trends and all. But hear me out. The thing is, whether you like it or yet, like we've mentioned earlier, Apple sets the trends, Apple sets design languages, and it is going to affect a lot of industries. So the earlier you master this, the faster you stand out when clients start asking for it. We are not entirely saying switch every aspect of your design journey to look like classy effect, but it will be cool to learn it and not use it rather than not learning at all. And when clients start demanding for it, you get caught in there. So here's the bottom line. Apple's liquid glass design isn't just about making shiny phones or shiny laptops. It's a visual language, and as graphic designers, we need to learn that language. Start experimenting with transparency, depth, and light in your work. You should also start getting comfortable with glassy interfaces and futuristic minimalism. If you even look at the football world these days on Twitter, you'd see that most of these people are going this direction. Because whether you like Apple or not, when they pour out a design language into the system, the ripple will eventually find and catch up with everyone. And that includes you. So get started now. Now, here's my question for you. Do you see yourself designing in this liquid glassy style? Or do you think it's just one of these passing trends that will eventually fade off very soon? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, subscribe to the channel will be so very much appreciated. Thank you so much for sticking around to watch this video. I'll see you guys in the next video. It's Innocent here, and bye.